Hello guys and welcome to VDRL Racing League, and we are at round 2 tier Saturday. So welcome, and today we are at China. It's going to be a long one, 28 laps around Shanghai. It is going to be an amazing turnout, and let's see what some of these drivers can do. And welcome everybody. I already have stated, but welcome. It's going to be a grand affair, and yeah, let's see what everyone can do. It's a 16 corner circuit. It'll be very interesting to see on if these drivers can really do well and put a good lap time. First off, as usually and always, yeah, I'll head into qualifying. So let's see on if these drivers are able to do fast lap. Yeah, as I was saying, it's qualifying. So if any of you have any racing predictions, or sorry, any qualifying predictions, please put them into the chat and I will read them. And as I have stated before, if you have any questions that you would like for me to basically answer, I am here to answer them for you. So please put down your qualifying predictions, and let's hope that these drivers can also do really well. But as I was going to now I'm going to run through the standings as well. So let's have a look for tier Saturday. Last week out, we did have Kevin, who topped Australia as well, so he is leading driver standings, followed by Serban with on 40 and Nilu. So that is your top three, but we're going to run through the top 10. We have four in Vastas, five at Remus. So that's good for both the Ferrari boys. We have Darius in sixth, Stamp in seventh, Scizord in eighth, Nayek in ninth, and Denet the Tenator in 10th. I am sorry if I have definitely been butchered that name. I am very sorry to the Alpine driver. I do apologize. But yeah, another great shout is we have Nedzo. As you might have heard yesterday, Nedzo was back in the qualifying booth here yesterday, but now he's out here racing. So let's see if Nedzo can pull himself a really good time. But we do have drivers out there. So we have Fad Emmanuel and Herzog. That is to see what those drivers can do. As we now have also a V carb come out in Mikio. So that's Mike Mikio or Maiko? I think it's Mikio. I think. But I am very bad at butchering names, so I do apologize in advance. So that is awful. But yeah, so that as I go now, I did mention the driver championship. So now let's look at the constructors. Both both Aston Martin and Ferrari are tied on points with 62, so they will be looking forward to see if they can get a good weekend here. I hope that is true, but because we do have both the Aston Martins, but we also do have both of the Ferraris. So let's see if they can go ahead of one another. But Red Bull aren't that quite far behind, and so is Williams and Mercedes. So this is going to be a really interesting fight with constructors, but it is only round two, so these drivers want to try and pick up points where they can in the early stages, but we still might be able to see any mistakes that they might make. So here we go. Here comes the V-Carb out of the final turn, and he starts his flying out lap. So let's see what he can do. So he obviously uses a lot of his battery in gear 8, goes down into turn 1. So very quickly, he does make a bit of a mistake, does hug a little bit thingy, goes into turn 2, gets down into gear, don't want to go too much in the throttle, he obviously is. A fight, oh, nearly loses the rear, but that should be fine. So now he goes into turn 5, into turn 6, so let's see what oh yes, he's not making any mistakes there, so that's really good there for him, especially for Herzog, so that's really good. I think it is going to be a benchmark because I think he's going to be the first one to cross the line for Fisher. I think he does go a bit. He does. I think he goes into turn 8, sorry, turn 9, turn 10. Hugs the curb, keeps it in circuit, so that's a good thing. That corner will be huge here because that means that the drivers will have a huge difference in track limits. So that's a key one to look out for turn 9 and 10 for these drivers. Let's go a bit wide here at turn 13. this is and also a key thing here to look at this massive straight, because if they get DRS and have a lot of battery, this is more than likely we could see a lot of overtakes happening. So it goes, so yellow flag further back. It's a Red Bull going slowly, allowing an Aston Martin to go freely. Now it's turn 14 and 15. So here we go. It does really well. Obviously onto the full power. Want to go into gear for it. It doesn't take the corner fully flat out, but it will be a 1:36.6. But Mercedes behind him in Rashid. It sets a 1:34.2, so that's 2 seconds quicker. Here comes Emmanuel. I think he's invalidated his lap time, so that won't be good. Here comes Series X. Let's see what he can do in the Aston Martin. He is obviously a key one to look out for, to see if he will do. He does. He goes quicker. He does a 1:33.2, so that's really well. So Serban goes even quicker with 1:32.7. So he's gone even quicker. Even Toro goes even quicker with 1:31.9. So these drivers are really finding pace out there. So this is going to be really interesting to see if if the Red Bulls are going quicker. So that's going to be a really good issue. But here comes Nilo. Nilo is another good shout for a Red Bull. So he's obviously teamed up with Toro this year. So he is another good driver to look out for, and he goes quicker than his teammate Toro. That is outstanding from Nilu, and that is a really good lap. It is a good lap to state, I am the quicker driver for this current stage. So that is a good, but Toro will more than certainly find time, as he is a two-time driver championship now. So he will have. Yeah, he is the one to beat, especially for Tier Saturday and for Tier Friday as well. If you want, guys, I'm looking to follow that as well. But here comes Emmanuel. I think last time he did have validated his lap time, but he goes third with a 1:32.1. There is currently a good split between Toro and Serban, so he is right between them two. So he really set himself really there. So here comes Colo. So he obviously it does say he has a purple sector 2, but I think that's because he has set a lap time yet. So he will be using a lot of his battery down this straight. We will be reaching over excess of 300 kph, maybe 320. So let's see. We'll obviously get DRS in qualifying. Here we go. Here comes the Ferrari driver going into the lap into turn 14 and turn 15. What you might want to hear, there's a yellow flag out. Obviously, for qualifying, it'll be allowing a slower driver, allowing a quicker driver. And that's what you want. Maybe not into gear 5, but that's what you really want from Cola. And goes into P4. So again, there's another benchmark in between the fast drivers. So that's really good. But a lot of these drivers, more than likely in pits, I think they more than likely will be just waiting for the circuit to be getting quicker and quicker, so that is what will happen. Now we're on board with Nedzo, the Sauber driver. Ooh, does go a bit wide into turn 13. But yeah, as I stated before, he did commentate here yesterday, and I'm pretty sure he did a really wonderful job to you, and so did Will and Yoshi. So those three would have given you a very fantastic perspective here yesterday. But it isn't my turn, obviously. And let's see if Nedzo is able to do a fast time, especially around here around Shanghai. He goes into the pit, so he will be getting a new fresh set of soft compound tyres. But he will be looking out. But we have got just under 10. We've got 10 minutes left of the session, so the drivers will be able to find even more time and be able. Its mistakes now are warranted, so they can now make the mistakes and still put on a new set of soft compound tyres. So that will be huge here. But JPP for the McLaren, he'll be wanting to set his time and be wanting to try and get into maybe the top 10. But obviously, as you all should know by now, any place that you finish, you will get points. So realistically, where you qualify, you will get points regardless. So it does limit that stress, but it does further down the grid, you'll get less and less points. So starting off, at first you do get 50 points, and it does go down gradually. So that is a key thing, but you do also get fastest point for fastest lap. Also, so that will be a key thing for these drivers to also look out for. A flag out on the straight. I'm not sure what that's for. Hey, here comes the McLaren driver. It looks like he's wearing the Oscar Piastri helmet, so that's a good nod. But yeah, let's see if GPP can do. He does go a bit. Ooh, he does go gear 5, gear 3. That's good. Will he use the battery along here? He will. Looks like a further out on the main straight. He does have a Mercedes in front of him. So if he does get a bit quick, he might get a bit of a boost. He might get a bit of a slipstream from the Mercedes, but I don't think he will. So that could be also another key thing here between Nilo and Toro. We could possibly maybe see maybe a slipstream, maybe team orders helping them, going a lot more quicker and set themselves a bit more further out of the pack, because they will be trying maybe wanting at this stage to get some points for the constructors. So that means later out in the season, for the second half, they might be able to fight for the points separately for the Drivers' Championship. What do we think? Both Red Bull drivers are out. Here comes GPP. Oh, it does go a bit slow into the final corner, but it will be a 1:37.2. So he definitely has time. As Martin now invites someone, so I think someone might have disconnected or he's waiting for to be joined. But here comes Furzy. He's currently sat 11 with no time. He goes P6, 1:33.2. So that's a really good. And we have. I'm pretty sure he either went off on his own, or he's letting other drivers think. So he's either made a mistake there. So I'm not too sure what's happened to the Mercedes drivers. He has invalidated his lap time. But it is a bit strange to have it to do it on the gravel. I'm not sure if this is his new set of compound tyre. So that is a question to wonder for him. But Toro and Nilo are on a lap time. So let's see if Toro is up on his time. He is. He's down by 4. So that is 4/10. So that's a good one for him. So that's going to be really good for him. So let's see. Jan, sorry for the late. Toro, Nilo, Remus. That is a good shout, but I don't think oh my god, I'm mistaken. I am completely. Cola Remus is Remus. That is my. Hi, Morrison. Nilo, Toro, Furzy, Max Violet, Nilo, Emmanuel, Toro. Those are all good shouts. And you know what? I'm going to give you my qualified prediction. I really forgot to say at the start. But you know what? As Toro goes even quicker, so he obviously Nilo is up, but not by much. So he needs to find some time. But yeah, I think, you know what, guys? I'm going to have to say, I'm going to go with Nilo. I think Nilo's going to find some time. Then I'm going to go Toro. And then I'm going to go Serban. So I think that's going to be my qualifying predictions. But after qualifying, please do put your race predictions after qualifying. And I will read them out. And yeah. See what these drivers can now do. Nilo was down on. Sorry, he was up on his tie, but not by much. I think he was only just by 1,000. Sorry, by 1,000. He does go into the pit, so he will go onto a fresh compound tires. So here comes Emmanuel. So Emmanuel will be waiting for try and see if he can improve on his lap time. See if he is up on in sector 1. It does hug the curb a little bit, so that. If he does go onto... No, he doesn't go onto... Now he goes onto the battery. So he waited for a specific place there. He does have a bit of traffic ahead of him with a Mercedes. I don't think he was up just yet. So I don't know. I'll have to wait until if he's up on his sector 2 to see if it will be a good lap. Oh, just hook the curb. Obviously, curbs are a bit worrying here, because sometimes if you go a bit full throttle on the curb, you might be able to lose the car. He luckily hasn't. No, most drivers have set a time, so that is really good. But Pierre, so is it Vastly? Again, a lot of these names have changed. So I am mistaken if one might be saved. I might be wrong here, so that is my mistake. And I do apologise to the drivers if I do make that mistake. Here comes Emmanuel. Let's see if he is going to use a lot of the battery. Goes into turn 15. It does really well. Keeps the car thinking. Remus goes into P3. That is a really good lap. But will Emmanuel take P3? Could he take it? No, he doesn't. I think he does improve. but he doesn't go quicker. Doesn't go quicker than Remus. So that's a really. But a lot of drivers will now be going into the pit. Here comes Darius. Let's talk about Nedzo's teammate for tonight. Let's see if Darius can be. He does need to set a time. Which he is doing so far, so he's either up or down. So that's going to be thinking. But where is he going to set himself? So let's see where he does play. So he is on the left straight, but he has to use a lot of battery this lap. So his time will be on the latter. So his will be further back. So he will be qualifying further back on the grid. So he reaches 0 on the straight. He does have fuel warning, but a lot of these drivers will have. Most than likely, they will only have fuel enough for 1 lap. As some of these drivers are already out of the pit. So if Darius did make a mistake, he would have to be thinking. And he does set a 1:32.9. So he does get ahead of his teammate Nedzo, so that is a really good qualifying lap for him. P8 and P10 for both the Sauber drivers. Yeah, a lot of these drivers will now be heading out of the pit lane. So we have just under 3 minutes and 20 seconds for these drivers to set up their final time of the qualifying session to see where they start the race. We'll talk a little bit more about your strategy for here today, just after qualifying. So that will be interesting to see much later. But yeah, here comes GPP. He has that 1:37.2. Interesting, the top 6 is yet to exit the pit lane. As Emmanuel thinks that he can't go any quicker, so he's retired from the pit lane. But here comes GPP in the McLaren. The only McLaren yet for here today, so he's going to have to try and avenge this on his own. Just going to be easy onto the throttle. He's on fresher tires, so obviously he did settle his. So his Nilo is 2/10 behind Toro, so obviously he needs to find time. So did Remus. So he's 4/10 behind the leader. But it's interesting from 1st to 5th. There's near enough a second gap. So that really is going to be interesting. But let's see if GPP is up on his time into Sector 2. Obviously, he's got time to just worry about. Yeah, let's see if he's up on his time. He is by 7/10. I think at this current stage, he might be quicker than the V-Carb. So we might have to split the 2 V-Carbs. Both Tora and Nilu are out of the pit lane. Remus isn't, so he must be done for the day. So that's going to be interesting for him. But yeah, let's see. He will be using a lot of this battery down this now straight, so that's going to be now. I think so. Let's see what he can do. He goes into second gear, stays on the battery, which is interesting. A lot of drivers would usually take out the battery and switch, obviously, modes. So thinking, oh, there's a bit of a wobble, but he does go quick. Right, I think I am now back. That was not pure, that was my fault. I really messed that up, but yeah. Drivers are now finished their time. Obviously, Remus didn't go out. So that's going to be interesting to see. So the Ferraris are going to be behind, but Pierre does also get to 5th. Darius is in P8. some of those drivers clearly didn't think that they would have had enough to. But Nilo, he's going to he could be displacing Toro from pole position, so that's going to be an issue for Toro if he does. But Toro is also out on track. He also had another finish last year. Start. I think we have a. Do you have a retirement from the? Oh, nearly does go a bit wide into. Let's see, Ritu. Toro retires. That might be. I don't know. He has retired on circuit, but the Ferrari is in the way. That is really going to cost Nilu, and he is down on his time. But Toro, I think, has crashed. I don't know if he's crashed or thingy, but that's interesting. I'm not too sure on that. I'm not too sure if he retired on the circuit or the pit lane. So I'm not too sure on that one. But do you have drivers? So here comes Murphy in the Haas. The only Haas driver. Let's see if he does improve, and he does improve by not much, so he stays P12. So I think most drivers have finished their qualifying session. As Mickey now goes into the pit lane. So that is the drivers done. So guys, it's time to run. I think that's a really interesting qualifying session for these drivers. So that's a good one for these, and let's see what the race can throw into the works for these drivers, and let's see if we might have any safety cars, because I think that impeding from the Ferrari there from Nilu, I'm not too sure which Ferrari it was, but that was, and it was a bit. Because it looked like he was going slow, and Nilu it didn't move out of the way, so that might get looked at the stewards. So that's not going to be really good. But here we are, qualifying is now done, as we now waited for one of the drivers to fully beep it into the pit lane. But now it's time to run through the final order for qualifying and for tonight. We do have Toro in pole position, you would have thought. Now we have Nilu in P2 and Remus in P3. Emmanuel in P4, Serban in P5, Pierre in P6, Thursday in P7, Sirisax in P8, Darius at P9, Nedso P10, that's a good lookout for Kick Sauber, Sheed in P11, Murphy in P12, Herzon P13, Mikio in P14, and sadly GPP, the only McLaren, in P15. It was a very interesting qualifying, and yeah. Time to think. It does look a bit cloudy, so that's really interesting for these drivers. So could we see a possibility of wet weather here today, guys? That is a really key question. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of work for these strategists and for also the drivers to pick out what tire they're going to start on if it does rain. So, but yeah, usually around here in Shanghai, it would usually be a two-stopper. So we usually would see a mixture of compounds, but we could see a mixture of both the two sets of mediums and a hard compound tire. So that it could be an issue. These drivers to pick out which set of compound tire would be best for them. Also, they have to play in mind, would there be a safety car? So that is also going to be an issue on their books as well. I don't think we will be able to see a safety car today, because you have a lot of grass, and it's one of those. We might see a virtual safety car, but we won't possibly see a safety car. But yeah, that's another thing to look forward. Sorry, not look forward to, because it would be bad for these drivers if we did. But it would be interesting for you and I. So as I do hear the countdown, so as Martin did give the giveaway, so let's see. Let's get ready for lights out, and here we go for these drivers. So let's wait. Here we go. So the drivers will be starting to rev the engines. It's 3 lights, 4 lights, it's 5 lights, and then now accelerating. So here we go. So it's nice setting back from the Red Bull from far behind it. Toro is obviously going to think we don't have a set of yes, so Toro just thinking, but it's a bit thing. We have no issues from the back yet, so that's a really good. Pierre has lost position, so has Remus. So Serban has jumped the grid, so has Emmanuel. So we have a lot of movement from the back, but Nilu does stay ahead of Emmanuel, and Toro does keep ahead of Nilu. We have a yellow flag further back, and that's Ned. So oh no, I want to know what happened to him. That just mean, oh no! VCAP is thinking that is a bit issues. We have got a bit of issues. Oh, that's a bit of that's front wing damage. That's definitely, we saw a bit of carbon fiber go off Herzog. So that's going to cost him damage. And you can already tell he's going a bit wide at that corner. So that's really going to hurt him. So that's going to also help GPP. You're looking for a gap there. You really should be making the move done. Oh, he's got a bit of a wobble. Yeah, he's looking behind. He's a lot of these drivers are going to be a bit of issues here today. So let's see. Oh, I think that's another Sauber going wide. Saubers, they started P10 and P11, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. But that really hit there, the pair of them. That's not looking good for Darius and Nedzo. But here comes Darius, who will have a lot of battery, but so will GPP. But let's see, we make the Johnny's, he's brave on the braking. Neither of them. Oh, never mind. Oh, I think we had a spin from Rashid, so that's not good. Torre obviously isn't across the line, so he's going to think it. And Mikio again, he spun that. He's going to have to definitely replace that front wing, so he will be looking into the pits. That's really, but yeah, another key interesting thing is after lap 1 is done, I'm going to calm down a little bit. Oh, never mind. Rashid were looking a bit on Herzog. So that's not good. He will look into turn 2. Don't make a stupid contact. Nearly don't. It's clean racing, but yeah. Might continue looking to move. Use the battery. There's a bit of a wobble. Darius doesn't make the move. Someone spun a bit back with GPP. I'm not sure if Rashid was a bit. That bit of contact there was between GPP. I'm not too sure. But that medium tyre really worked out for Servan, so that really helped him. But again, Mikio decided to stay out, so that's going to be interesting. So it clearly hasn't hurt him as he thought. He doesn't hurt him as that much. But yeah, it's another key interesting to go into a bit of grass there, Rashid. But that's a good thing. And sorry, not a good thing. He's going to have a bit of goes into the bit of the grass again. Yeah, he's saving a lot of battery, but he does have Darius behind, and Darius is a proven racer. There we go. There's the possible strategy. So we do have a possible one stop or a 2-stop. One stop is going to be a bit of an issue, but I think for someone maybe Toro, it might be possible. But he does have a nearly right behind. Oh, go on, Darius makes the move. Could he make 2 moves in one straight? And he does. He does. Wow, that's impressive. That could have been looked out from Rashid, and he does. Oh, makes him straight into the final corner. Oh, he rushes wide. Both of them go off near enough on circuit. But that's overtaking off the circuit, so he more likely to give that back, just like he does. So that's not really thinking that's not going to be good. So you were making the move, but wow, from Darius there, even 2 moves in one corner. That is really impressive from the Sauber driver. Yeah, time to talk strategy. Lap 3, these drivers are really fighting for it. They're really fighting for these positions, but keep an eye out because everyone seems to be still in together. So that's going to be really interesting. Oh, a bit of a wobble there from Rashid. So that's going to be not helping him in the slightest, but it will help maybe Nedzo to catch up a little bit for that corner. No one's going a bit curved. So just take a wider line into turn 7, turn 8. Does he also get into the curve, Rashid? So that's not going to be an issue for the pair of them. But yeah. Now I want to turn to you guys, listeners. I didn't say this at the start, but I want to know your race predictions. I know we're at lap 3, but I want to know your race predictions. So please put them in the chat. I will read them out, and I will give you my opinion if I think it might be possible. So yeah, please feel free. And if you also any questions that you would like to ask me, I will read them out and answer them the best I could. Here comes Rashid on Herzog. Obviously the harder tire. He is on the harder compound tire, so that's gonna. Oh, there's a bit of cut grass. Herzog obviously gets 10 seconds, obviously, because that's clear corner cutting. I don't know what he was thinking there, but I'm not too sure. Like, it does allow Nedzo to gain a place. Toro and Nilo obviously make the move done, so Toro will be looking for that position, so he won't be raging to get that back. He'll be wanting, you think, oh, a bit of a spin there. The rear, so that's not good. Obviously, don't touch the curb too much. Good, that's good from the The Red Bulls, no, that is really good. Clean driving. Max Van Toro, Nilu Remus, Orson Emmanuel Toro, Nilu. Yeah, you know, I agree, but I think if Emmanuel does the thing, also do I see rain? I think I see rain. I'm not too sure because I do see drop. So that is really going to be interesting. We're on lap 4 in the chaos. It started from lap 1 onwards, and it is still continuing here at Shanghai. So that is going to be an interesting. And I knew it. The clouds did look a bit thingy, but here comes Toro. He'll be making the move. And he does. It will be a move, and obviously the Red Bull drivers will not wanting to make that move a little bit. Ooh, a bit of corner cut in there from Nilo. But yeah, it's wet. Herzog thinks it's now for time for intermediates. I don't think it's yet, but maybe Nilo now does think it is as well for intermediates. So that is really interesting. But I can't believe it. We're having wet tires, sorry, intermediate tires at this stage. That is really interesting. I can't believe that this is happening. But yeah, Neely now thinks it's intermediates. There's 2 drivers, so those 2 drivers, Herzog and Nilu, they'll be ones to look out for, but I don't think it's intermediates just yet. So they will not bite him in the future, but as we do have a yellow flag, that might be from Herzog. It looks like someone stopped moving in the pit lane. No, it's Mikio. He now thinks it's either intermediates. So he really must now be thinking it's time. So he obviously using the time from his teammates. So we can't really clearly think that it is time. My is now fighting Nedso. Let's see if he might make the move done on Nedso. Let's see. Now you especially don't want to touch the curbs because they are pretty much deadly. They will definitely send you to the barrier. Especially now with the mixture of the moisture from the rain. So that will be really interesting. Oh, correction, Addy slide. Oh, that's a front wing. I'm not sure if that's it's not a loss of a complete front wing. But that maybe it's time for intermediates. But that really did hurt him, and he's gonna have to pay that. He's missing he's missing a lot of his left side of the car. So that is not good. So his left side. And none of the drivers are yet to pit. So Nilo and Herzog are the only ones yet to think. And so as I said that, Pierre and now Darius now thinks it's time for intermediates. So that is going to be thinking, oh, this is a 3-way battle here for 30 between Sergi, Remus, and maybe Serban. So that's going to be really interesting. They're going to have to try and keep it a lot more clean. There is an amber light for Thursday, so a lot of these drivers will be putting just enough fuel. Oh, we do have a yellow flag. Rashi's out. And I'm not too sure. Is that a full safety car? Is that a virtual? I think that's a virtual. So he has crashed into the pit lane, I think. So that really is interesting, and I'm surprised that brought out a virtual. Wow. That is. This race has everything pretty much. We're only at lap 6. Lap 6, we have a crash, wet weather. We have a change in lead constantly, and that might help Toro here, and I don't think so. That might really come into his favor. It's all depending on when the virtual safety car does finish. Manuel is going a little bit quicker on the straight, so he's catching a little bit on Toro, but obviously he can't overtake under a virtual safety car. A lot of these drivers will be wanting to build up the battery to try and get a good virtual safety car restart. GPP does have a speeding under thing. It does go green. So here goes. Will Toro hit now? No, he doesn't. Neither does Emmanuel. So the top 2 clearly think, but it's a battle between Ferzi and Remus. So they're really thinking that is thinking, but Serban is going to be benefiting from this, so he will be staying ahead of the lot. Remus now pits. He's now thinking it's intermediates, but I think the drivers, especially that are already on intermediates, I think it's too early. Series X now pits also. I generally think it's a bit too early for the intermediates. She's obviously left the session following his early retirement. But yeah, I think it's a bit too early. So we still have a mixture because the circuit, it still looks a bit dry. I don't see the rain a little bit anymore. Obviously, we're not on the cockpit cam, so obviously I can't really tell. We have a yellow flag further back. I think that might be from GPP, so he now also thinks it's intermediates. But now half the grid is now... Oh, yeah, he's obviously now got 10 seconds added to his virtual safety car that he managed to pick up for speeding under it. So that's not good. Yeah, now half the grid now thinks it's time for intermediates. But Nilo is catching Murphy, and that's going to be another eye to look out for. But I also do want to know the gap between the leader to see if Nilo is catching Toro, because that will be another key interesting. And he just can't pass Murphy. Obviously, it's nice and easy, and he is catching me. He is catching Nilo. Nilo's catching Toro. So maybe it is time to think for Toro. Maybe it is time for the intermediates. Manuel now thinks so. It is time for intermediates. So well, let's see if the Williams can just have a quick stop. But that gap between Nilo and Toro is going down slightly. It's fluctuating. There's now Serban also thinks it's time for pit. So that is going to be an interesting shout. Toro is still sticking out. Verzi obviously still continues. I think he has. Yep, his car is coasted. We have a yellow flag. I'm not sure where. I think it might be between the two V cars, so they might have a bit of a collision. Issues with online servers, but I think that is fine for now. But Toro is still in the lead, followed by Verzi and Manuel, who's pitting. He is actually in front of Nilo. And that is my mistake. So that virtual safety car and pitting early for Nilo is really not paid out. So I'm a bit confused on why he did pit early, but those tyres are really going to be worn, and they're going to be warm. Ruben does join, so that is going to be an interesting, but yeah, let's see if Nilo is able to. He does go into a bit of a curve that much. He's catching Verzi. He is just under 2 seconds. Oh, a bit of spin. Obviously, you can see the droplets out, and you can see the wet on the circuit. But will we see a fully wet circuit by lap 28? Because that's going to be interesting. Obviously, this move is going to be easily done because obviously it's an AI car and also ghosted, so you can just go straight through it. And plus, we've got high compound tires, so obviously that's a really shame. First, but Toro does now go into the pit, so obviously now he thinks. Manuel has just left the session. That is not good. That is going to be good for Nilo, because Nilo will now catch up for Emmanuel. But that's really going to hurt him for Emmanuel. But it might also help Toro, because Toro's obviously going to stay ahead in the lead. So that's really going to hurt Emmanuel. But now the two drivers that are still on the intermediate, the hard compound tire is still Verzi and Murphy. Verzi now goes into the pits. But that gap between first and second is still under a second. Flag further ahead. I think it's still a V carb thing. I'm not too sure. Erzin, I guess, another 10 seconds. So that might be done for him. It's not really good, because it will allow that Verzi might not. Emmanuel will drop a bit further. Nearly will be looking forward. I think he's already catched Emmanuel, so that has really put him into contemplation, and he's obviously going to get this move quickly done, and you obviously want to, and he does. He goes back into P2. This is not a move that we were thinking. I were hoping that Emmanuel was staying ahead. Emmanuel does join, but it's a bit too late now. But Emmanuel might be able to get the move done on the back straight. He does have a lot more battery power, so that is another key thing to look out for. But it's a real shame for Emmanuel. DRC has now just been disabled, while a lot of these drivers are already on intermediate tyre. That is usually the telling point. Let's just go ahead of first, so the Saubers are up position, so they're P8 and P9. So they made up their mistakes from lap 1. So that's really good. Let's see if Nilu is catching Toro quicker and quicker, but he is on 4-lap intermediate tyres. That really is going to hurt him, but obviously these drivers, they might not have to pit yet again, but the tyre wear is definitely going to come into contemplation. So that was really going to hurt these drivers. Here comes Darius on Series X. Here he comes. He goes into turn 15. Is he going to do a switchback? A little bit of contact between the Aston Martin and the Sauber. The Aston Martin does go through. Darius does a bit of a wobble out of the final corner. Doesn't have much battery. That won't really help him. But Neto is further back, so that's not looking good. It is good for the Saubers. I disconnected Emmanuel. Oh, that's a good question for Jan. Also, that is my mistake. I have not been looking at the YouTube chat for a while. But yeah, I'm going to think outside of the box. Serban, Emmanuel, and Darius. Interesting. You know what? We do like to hold a bit of a bold claim to these. You know what? That was a really good shout, but a quick question that also. Which driver is the biggest that nobody's talking about? Ooh. But you want to be actually obviously a bit ahead or a bit further? Oh, I think I think it was a lapped car. So that really gonna hurt, but it's that nobody's talking about. You know what? I'm gonna talk about the man that we're currently on board with, Darius. Darius is usually left under the radar. We don't talk about him much, but he's really come to shine around China, and he really does hinder you sometimes. Obviously, sometimes he just let you through if you are in a championship battle. But I think he really is one that you don't want to be messing with sometimes if you do pit early, and you have to try and get through the pack, and you're stuck there. So he is one to be a menace with. We got another thing. I think that's from a Ferrari this time. So that's not good. So that must be up in front. These drivers are really struggling now. We keep getting safety car. Sorry, getting yellow flag after yellow flag. It is good timing from Toro. Yeah. Oh, a bit of spin there from Darius. You'll be looking. This is, I think, the closest battle on the circuit. So this will be thinking. Emmanuel is obviously gaining on Nilo, so they'll have fresher tyres. So that will come into contemplation. Oh, Series X just go a bit slow in that corner, which does upset Darius a little bit coming out of that corner. But it's spin gear, but under control. That's not what you don't want to do. You don't want to lose control of that corner. That is good reflex on the Sauberman. But my days, that was close. Jesus. He keeps having a bit of wobble. Obviously, these drivers, more than likely, will be having their drag setups, so that really is going to be interesting. As Emmanuel he's getting even closer to Nilo. Emmanuel does make the move on Nilo. But will Nilo make the fight back? I don't think he will. He wants to keep it nice and clean. Obviously, he will. There is a jump from the battle between Darius, but that is a move done from Emmanuel, so he obviously takes the move back from his disconnection. So he is back from where they were, back for the ways they were. But we were lucky thinking that the move would possibly be done, because if Emmanuel does have the fresher compound tyre, it will allow Toro to go even further ahead. Because those two are fighting, but Nilo is dropping back. It's not good. It's really not good. Oh, a bit of wobble into that corner. Obviously, it is a bit wet, so they will have a bit of a wobble. Don't do what Darius did. I'll get back into the pit lane. I think a lot of these drivers are just struggling. Surprised another one hasn't been tied in the pit lane just yet. But yeah, I'm surprised we also haven't had a proper crash. We did have the crash in the pit lane earlier. But that really did set into place. That really did help Toro. Toro really did pit in the perfect place, as you will clearly see. But Emmanuel is gaining. Emmanuel seems to be the quicker driver on the circuit at this current stage, because that's time was just over 3 seconds, and it's down to 2.3. So I want to know. So I think Torres trying to pick up something, trying to cool down those tires, because these tires will definitely be overheating. I don't know how long this rain will last. It could last until the end of the race, or it could maybe last for maybe another 8 laps. So the weather is going to be very important around here, but you can see a bit of the wetness, and there's still a dry line there. So that will definitely be looking forward to. Oh, is Manuel just going to just have a bit of a wider into the bit of journey into the curb? So we will lose a bit of time into that, but Nilo is definitely dropped back. So, but he will have to be fighting with Remus, but Remus is still not looking into contention for that. He is gaining. So Nilo clearly is not favouring these wet weather at all. So obviously did start on pole. GPP is now into the pit lane. And there's a bit of a spin. None of these drivers are really favouring these wet weather conditions. As Darius Noah is also into the pits. GPP is now retired into the pit lane. And that is sadly another retirement from the race. So that is not good. I did mention that a lot of these drivers would be picking up points wherever they finish. He was running decently in the points as well. I don't understand why he's done it. So it's a bit of confusion for me. Darius thinks it's wet weather. It's possible for wet compound tyres. The blue Pirelli, that is a shock. So keep in mind, see if he managed to do well on those wet tyres, and see if he might be able to make some moves. I don't think it's really wet conditions yet for the wet compound tyre, but that's interesting. But Emmanuel is trying to get that time from in front, just under 2:10. Sorry, 2 seconds. Because he is getting closer and closer, and we're on lap 13. We're not even halfway through the race yet, and we've had a lot of majority to even talk about. Like, this is just interesting. Like, please stay tuned. And I can't believe there's 23 of you that are here and just keep watching and listening to just this amazing race. We're not even halfway through. We're just about to go halfway through. Emmanuel just got only 2 seconds for the gap, the lead. But now we're on to lap 14. So now we're at the halfway stage. The rain does look like it is not easing up. So that's going to be the closest fight, I think, for now. I think is between Emmanuel and Toro. So I want to get their thoughts after into the interview box. We do have a yellow flag. I'm not too sure where. I think it might be a glitch. On the way now. Yeah, do you want to know these drivers think? Oh, a bit of a slide there from Emmanuel. But he's under 1.5 seconds at that gap. So the question is, not even the question. The question won't even be if he'll make the move done. It's a matter of when. He seems to be really favouring this time with the wet weather conditions. You're gonna have a yellow flag at the final corner. It looks like I don't know if he stopped. He might have had just a bit of a spin. So the tyres will be warm. He's going a bit slowly. Not really a great race for the V-Carbs. They are sat in P12, P13. It really is not a good day for them. And obviously he's not making much time with the wet compound tyres. So I don't think it's the right choice for him. He seems like to be really struggling out there. Here comes Emmanuel. He's now under that second. Normally, in the dry, wet conditions, we wouldn't have DRS. So he doesn't have that crutch, so he will have to try and save a lot of the battery. So there will be a lot of battery games around here. It would have been even with DRS, but it'd be even more so. So a lot of these drivers, you can even see, Emmanuel's on none after exiting the final corner. Now he's on medium. So this will be key thing here. So Neely now thinks he's going into the pits. We do have again from Mikio. So both the V-Cabs are now they've had a spin. But Nilu, I don't know what tyre will be going on. I think he will go on to hard compound tyre. Oh no, so that's intermediate. I thought it was hard. I got confused. I generally thought he did, but that would have been a bold shout. But no, he thinks that his tyres, obviously he did pit a lot earlier than the other drivers. But obviously he needs to get rid of them. So if the wet weather conditions stay, he'll be going to the end. Oh, just going to be a bit of a curve, obviously. So he's got lucky there. Because it really is a guessing game on when you lose grip from grabbing the corner, and grabbing these curbs. Obviously, Manuel has lost a bit of time. They looks like even further back. Again, I think that's from the V-Cab yet again. So that is not good. So the V-Cabs are really they're not having a great day at the office today. So that's not thinking about Toro. He needs to try and put some fast laps in. Because Emmanuel is coming. As Crofty once used to say, like the T-Rex describing Max, Emmanuel in this case is the T-Rex. He's coming. He's coming slowly but surely. As we're at lap 15 and the rain doesn't seem to be dying down. But it just seems like he's going to memorize that rear ring. I can tell you that he's going to mesmerize it, that rear ring at this point. I bet you towards the end, I bet you could draw that rear ring from memory. You can see the difference. Manuel stays on the left, Toro stays on the right. Toro is trying to cool down those tires. So he's trying to look for any wet patches. I'm still yet to know fully. I've done it before, but I'm not too sure if it does. Remus is now into the pits as well, followed by Nilo. So Nilo is triggered for the early intermediates to go on to another set of intermediate tires. So that has obviously made some of these. So made the strategists think that we need to stay on top of this. So obviously Nilo does go ahead of Remus, so he's P4, so he has to chase Serban. But Emmanuel he's staying within that 1.1 second. So clearly he's got the pace, but he's not doing much of the pace. So he's got. So he needs to. So Pierre's now into the pits, but Toro seems like he's just trying to keep this consistent. He's not making as much errors as Emmanuel. That goes up to 1.5, even that slide. So Toro is now finding his groove yet again with the intermediate. So he really needed to get into the groove with these tires. In lap 16, so a lot of these drivers are now already have pitted, so we'll have seen. Now two-stopper. Oh, a bit of slide there from Manuel. That's not really good. So his tire is clearly a 1. So he could be into the pit lane the next lap, or maybe this lap. So that is really going to be a question. Darius is down, and Darius is off on his time, so he's catching the Murphy, but the Murphy does have an addition of obviously tire wear, so that's coming to thingy. Remus does just go ahead. So he's obviously that with a bonus of newer, fresher tires. Manuel doesn't go into the pits, but that time in front, Toro. I was thinking that maybe Emmanuel would be catching Toro and maybe overtake him. But that time is clearly fallen. That time is just not been going anywhere. It's been going all over the place the last 2 laps. So it's either the tyre weight is really screwing over Emmanuel, or if Toro has just found his groove. Yeah, obviously this is the closest battle we do have on certain. Never mind, Sirius obviously is closest with Remus as Sirius now goes into the pits. So maybe lap 9 seems like it's done for these intermediates. We have seen before that Emmanuel seems like these tyres are just enough. That his tyre weight is really screwing over here. So I think more than likely he will go on to a new set of tyre, but it's just with some of these drivers, especially someone like Nilu, he's going to struggle. I don't think he'll get puncture. He's really going to be struggling because if these tyres can only go to maybe lap 9 that they're struggling, then they're going to struggle even a lot more in the later stages because we've still got over 11 laps of racing. So realistically, if I were Emmanuel and Toro, even though they have got to get some gap, Serban does also need to pit. They need to look at that gap between them and Nilu. So that's going to be another gap that they need to look out forward to, as Toro does have. I think Toro has a bit of traffic ahead of him between a lapped car, but obviously I think ghosting is on, so that won't be any of an issue. So it might put him off a little bit. I don't think it has. That's not really going to help the pair of them. He might screw over Emmanuel here into turn 1. I think that's the V-Cab. I think, yeah, it is the V-Cab ahead. Just keep you cool, Emmanuel. Don't do anything silly. Don't go too much on the throttle. He doesn't. He didn't lose too much time to Toro, so that's a good thing here. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be an interesting fight with 10 laps to go. The top 3 are yet to pit again because I don't think these tyres will have enough life in them to go to the end. So around about in this lap or the next lap, they will more than likely pit yet again for a new set of intermediate tyres. But yeah, this is really interesting. We have had a virtual safety car for you guys who have just joined us. It was an interesting couple of laps. We had rain at lap 4. Some drivers decided to opt for the early choice of the intermediates. Some of them really helped. If you do have a yellow sector 3, that's from the V cab. It is again from Herzlom. Clearly, China is not the best place for them for the V cabs. I really do. I hope they do bounce back next race, next week. So that's really going to hurt them. But it is also, they need to bounce back. So I hope they can. I hope they put the time and effort to get some practice laps in and just focus on the road ahead. We'll still get points at P13 and P12, but they really need to try and find some groove into their step for next week. My gap out in front is still fluctuating, but that's going to be a really big issue. Oh, this one does go a bit wide. It's going to cause out a yellow flag in sector. Oh no, it doesn't. I thought it might do if we're going off wide, but it doesn't. Yeah, but that gap ahead, Pierre does go ahead of Nedzo, so that's now the closest fight on the circuit. But he really won't help because Pierre does also have the fastest, much fresher tyre compared to Nedzo. Nedzo managed to keep his time to 11, but Nedzo is fighting. Nedzo is really is fighting. He's doing well, like Cyberman. Like, please don't make the move. Sirius is obviously looking forward to this match. Don't make collision. They've collided a little bit. Forces Pierre off the circuit. But no, here comes through Sirius. He does. He makes the move through Pierre. Pierre was the loser in that situation. Here comes Sirius. He's also on the fresher compound tires. Oh, that's a bit from wing. I don't think he broke a little bit too much there, Sirius. So he's lost. He's lost a bit of carbon fibre there. Oh, has he? Because I'm pretty sure a bit of something came free. It has. His end plate's missing on his left side, on his right side. But our left. That's interesting. That might be looking forward to. Deus does make the movement on Nedzo. But I'm shocked. That's collision. It didn't even have turn 1, turn 2. Wow. Again with a yellow flag, but that's actually from this time. I think it's from the Sauber. Sorry, not the Sauber. Haas. So I think these 3 here are your closest fight. Because that gap to the lead is just gaining and gaining. We're not gaining, it's just slowly going away. So that's... With these 3 here, we've had a bit of collision from the Aston Martin and the Sauber. So that's not good for thinking. Again, another yellow flag. I've got someone in the pit lane. So that's someone queuing in the pit lane. It might be a retirement. It might not. I hope not. But sometimes it does screw with your confidence slightly bit. But I don't think he has. So I'm glad that he's decided to continue going. We have a move further back between Pierre and Nedzo. So they're still going on while Sirius is still ahead. So let's see. Yeah, just stay behind. Just stay looking really behind. They go side by side into turn 16. They don't run wide. That's good. We have a bit of yellow flag further back, I think, from the Ferrari. Oh, they do keep it going to turn 1. Oh, Neto keeps ahead. I'm surprised. You know what? This is collision! Collision between the Ferrari and the Sauber again. Neto has had a lot of collisions between himself, Pierre, and Sirius, but Pierre is obviously in front. Those 13 lap intermediates really are costing him a lot of time and track placement. He's now lost 2 places Serious X, who is on a missing end plate, and now Pierre, who's had a collision with him at turn 3. So turn 2 and turn 3. No, not good, but now here comes Emmanuel, now into the pits. So will that trigger Toro to come into the pits? And we do have 7 more laps of racing for me. You can see that it is clearly is new and wet. So could it be in wet compound tyre worthy? I don't think it is yet. No, it's not. So he's now stick to the intermediate tyre. So that's the thing. Now Nilu now goes back into 2nd place. But obviously it's 6th. That is a huge gamble. Serban is now into the pits as well. So Thursday might be able. I don't think he will. So that'll be a look at to see if Thursday might get ahead. Yeah, he does. Actually, no, I don't think he does. He's further back. Yeah, he won't because he's just on the straight. But yeah, that's really is going to be interesting because Will and Toro made the decision to go into the pits because Emmanuel's gone to the pits, and he's going to have a push compound tyre. So that's really going to play the question for strategies down there at Red Bull. Will Toro pit again? So let's see if he will, because normally one driver will pit, the driver might pit because it forces the driver, if he's gaining time, to put them into the pit lane because he could be susceptible to an undercut. Toro, I think he's filing around the final car. No, he's actually, I don't think he is. Oh, he is. So let's see if he goes into the pit lane. And he doesn't. So obviously, thinking he can go further. And the Murphy having a battle with Darius. Darius stays ahead. A lot of drivers are really low on their battery. I'm surprised a lot of these drivers are not saving their battery. You've really been wanting to. You'll be seeing a lot of these drivers should be going on to non. But it really is going to be an issue for these drivers to just try and focus on the battery, because now we're at the later stages for these drivers, so they'll be now saving for their battery. So that will now be a key thing here. Will these drivers be focusing on keeping their battery? Because none of these drivers are not really bunched up together, they might not be focused on their battery as much. So that is going to be an issue for a lot of them. The closest battle is between Murphy and Darius. Unless a driver might make a mistake. I've seen plenty of drivers making mistakes, but it is wet weather. It just force the drivers to make a lot more mistakes, like going a bit wide at this corner here, maybe just off circuit. So that is obviously going to cause a huge issue for these drivers. So that obviously we have seen a lot of them. We have only seen one virtual safety car, but that's not even from the wet weather. That is just from someone crashing in the pit lane. So I am shocked that happened. But yeah, Mikio, I think, had a bit of a slide there as well. But Emmanuel is getting time to Nilu, as someone would be thinking, expecting. But I don't think I've seen Emmanuel for a long. I don't think I've seen Emmanuel at all. So this is a really good thing for him for his first race under my watch. To finish P3 if this just stay where it is, but he is gaining on Nilu. He took 5/10 just out of maybe sector 3 alone, and he's still going quicker. So really, he's really looking forward with these intermediates compound tyres, especially to Nilu. Just have a bit of a wobble there, near enough at turn 14, sorry, turn 15 and turn 16 now. Yep. He now goes under and he's gained 6/10. 6/10 alone from what I've seen at sector 3. So I now don't think Toro will pit again. We've got 5 laps of racing. I don't think he'll pit again, either with Nilu. I don't think any of these drivers will pit again. So that's going to be a real shame. So that won't shake the order. But these drivers, they really will be focusing on trying to focus on track position. But here comes Pierre on Series X. Obviously, he did have a bit of collision here. Obviously, Series X, I don't think he obviously did. Oh, yeah, they went sideways there, Series X. You know, impressive that he kept the car, not from going into the wall and didn't losing the car and spinning it completely 360. Well, that is impressive, but he's still ahead. Yeah, we'll be wanting. A lot of these drivers are really just dumping their battery. The amount of drivers that we've rode on both, we've
ridden on board, and Ned's now thinks he's capable to go into the pits again. But to be fair, he's 30 seconds ahead of his teammates, so realistically, he's just trying to find the most comfortable place. He doesn't want to make mistakes. It was a race call. You lose around about 20 to 25 seconds of maybe 20 to 22 seconds under normal circumstances in the pit lane. So realistically, he's made the wise choice there. But this battle here between Pierre and Sirisax, this is going to be interesting because that leave ahead, that I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. There you can see that Pierre, he's just saving his battery. You know, through just Sector 2 alone, he's not used much of a battery, he's stayed on none. He's getting up into 70% battery. You obviously can use it here, so that's going to be the brakes. He's going to touch that rear on the Aston Martin. He could be making this move now on the back straight, so this move could be done at lap 24. Goes a bit sideways, doesn't lose much time, he does lose a little bit, doesn't lose much. But that could cost him a little bit. Obviously he's going to use his battery. I don't know if Sirisax is using his battery. I think he is, because I was flashing right. I think he did. He is flashing. He's not using much, so he's not using it, but he still stays ahead. He's going to be brave on the brakes. Switch back. No, Pierre doesn't move. Pierre loses it. He goes too much on the throttle, now he's onto the grass. It's not good. He's got 4 laps to go. Really, this is not good for him. It really is going to cause the question, will he get P7? Because dropped even further back. I remember trying to now cool those tyres down, because he span a little bit. He obviously didn't do a full spin. It'd be near enough went 180. So those tyres will be warmer. And those brakes, they're going to really overheat a lot more. So he's going to have to take a couple of laps to try and get those into groove. I would try not push a lot further, but you will need to try and get those brakes into sufficient. Obviously, they've got a lapped car in front of them. Traffic will be an issue. Murphy picks up a time penalty, so the bottom 3 have all got time penalties. But only the drivers from T10 onwards have picked one that I think could be possible to have picked. But maybe track limits, but I don't think they've had enough survives to pick up track limits for a penalty. Any penalties further out of the race, so there you go, kept it clean. Maybe we have a bit of contact between Nedzo and Sirisax, because we had a bit of front wing issues, and you had other issues from the V carb at lap 1. Yeah, this is really interesting to see on what the finishing order could be, especially between Pierre and Sirisax, because Pierre has really caught up to him in the last sector, in the Sector 2 and Sector 1. But he's going to have another go again. So really, his time to make a move is Sector 2. He moved to one side, he's going to try and cover those tyres from the wet thing, he's not going to make the move again. Will he do the same mistake he did in last lap? No, he doesn't. Oh, he does make a wobble again. He's having issues exiting turn 15. So he is losing a lot of time, it has a bit of wobble again. Oh, he hits the can. Good save, but again, he needs to stop making these sort of mistakes. That gap ahead between Emmanuel and Nilu is under, as if the fastest lap is Emmanuel. If I have a look again from the point system, I'm pretty sure you might get fastest lap. The fastest lap might get a point, so let me double check for you guys. Point system, yes, fastest lap just carry themselves a point. So that will help him. It really is close between him and Nilu, Emmanuel. Toro, it seems like he's 4 times behind the fastest lap, but obviously the fastest lap must have been taken, so none of them will be getting the fastest lap now. So Emmanuel has now taken home the fastest point. Also, a pole position point, I think, will be going ahead of Toro. So that's going to be thinking. So Nilu is going to be sit behind these lots. So that's really going to hurt him a lot. Hurt the pair of them. But obviously, because it's fine, but it's also now Serban. Serban is clapping Thursday as well. So that's now close. So I think Serban might make the move on Thursday. Yes, he does. Serban makes the first move. So obviously, he does. Hasn't picked another time penalty. Oh, a bit close there from Thursday. But obviously, they made the move on now. Don't lose it. This could be a fight. No. Obviously, You don't want to make the stupid move out of the final corner. You could, might be a potential move here. No, it was a bit further back. Series X picked up a time penalty. No, that is not what you want to do. That is commentator's curse for you, ladies and gentlemen. I said before that none of these drivers have picked up a time penalty from P10 onwards. And Series X picks up the first one that I have said in the top 10. So we have a yellow flag again at the last corner. Again, Mikio comes out again with a little spin. I can't say it too much. It's a real shame for him. I'm impressed he in both the V-Carbs have decided to just carry on race to get the points. It's a nice thing to say. To see, to go, oh! Where's his spin? Oh no! Luckily, Series X is just further back behind, but that means that move done. That between him and Serban is done. Serban will more than likely will take P5 unless there is no other instances that might happen. We are still on lap 27, so that's going to be. I'm not sure if we're on lap 27 to lap 28, but I think we are on 27, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see. The closest battle with you between you is Pierre and Series X. Obviously, that move done. Sadly, you obviously want to see the drivers make the move done on circuit rather than after with track penalties, as sometimes they can be removed. So will Pierre make that move? And so they are rounding the corner to the very long straight for here at China. He's not getting time, Pierre. He is fluctuating. He's 5/10 back even before the corner, and he won't make the move, so he's really struggling out there. A lot of the drive as well. I'm surprised Toro is not struggling as much because he's still getting time on Nilo. But here we go, we're still on lap 27. So we've got 2 more laps of racing for all these drivers, especially around here in China. So let's see at least if we have any more. This is between these drivers and see if we have any more issues that these drivers might possibly be facing. But sadly, I will run back through it. If you are just joining us, we will have the interviews much later. I will conduct them for you. So it will be. Yeah, it's a bit struggling, but yeah. Please stay tuned after the race. I will be doing the interviews for you with the top 3 if they will decide to join. That is. So and I will get their opinions on this race. But yeah, but Pierre, he's struggling. He'll have a bit of fuel. He does have a fuel warning, so that really is going to. He's obviously going quicker. So now Toro has started the final lap. So he will now be thinking. He just needs to drive this home. He needs to keep it nice and safe. I know we haven't touched much in the top 3 for the last couple of laps. But the manual is getting closer and closer. But obviously that move will not be able to be done. So realistically, I think the top 3 will remain as it is. There's a gap here between Pierre and Vastas. So it's Pierre in Series X will be a lot of Indian. But here, Toro, the penalties. You know what? We've got Series X is on 3, so obviously that will be. Murphy's on 3, but I don't think that will be much attention. So you're going to keep P3 because of that gap between him and Herzon, because Herzon's also got a 9-second. So realistically, that's not going to help him. Mikio is on 6, so realistically, they would need a 3-second gap between him and Herzon, but he's got 6 between him, so that's not good. Here we go. Toro, we haven't talked to him about much. He's drove a perfect race. He pitted at the perfect time. He's done a one-stop to perfection. He's managed to even use his size. Because Nilo was catching him slowly but surely. But please don't do McKinney Antelli, and he doesn't. And he manages, and he rounds the final corner. Don't do too much onto the throttle, and he doesn't. Almost has that experience, and in comes Toro. Lap 20 out of 28. It spins, and he's your China winner for VDRL. It's here Saturday. Nilo in P2, Emmanuel in P3. What a race for the top 3. Murphy picks up another one. So that might be done and done. So that move there between Murphy and Herzon, that must be done on circuit, but that won't be done. Pierre did not get past Series X, but obviously he's thinking Ruben has left. but he obviously didn't race anyway. Darius gets ahead of Murphy, I think from time penalties, but here comes Remus. Razov obviously has a bit of a spin, a bit of happiness. P4, good drive from the Ferrari man. And you know what? I think that was a good race with the Ferrari, but yeah, I think really it needs to try and make some a lot more better moves with him. Serban. Serban now crosses the line, and he'll stay obviously P5. And Thursday will now be riding the final corner also with P6. But oh my god, that is wow. There's drama within that race. Not a lot of drama that we might have seen, say, for Suzuka last season. But it's a lot of drama that these drivers have been thrown in. But for someone like Toro, he didn't face a lot of drama. He just drove to perfection. Yeah, what a race. Pierre managed to even make the move on Series X. Series X managed to keep the move even with the track penalty. That is really impressive with Series X, that move. So he keeps P7. Pierre is P8. Darius and Murphy is P10 and P11. I'm waiting for Ned Searle, Herzon and Mikio, and we do have one of the drivers ahead of him. And one driver behind. So here comes Ned Searle, he finishes P9. That was Herzon, he stays P12. And here comes Mikio, crosses the line. And that is your China race done, ladies and gentlemen, for Saturday. Wow. Surprised I didn't lose my voice for the majority of it, but wow. It's an interesting race. And that is, yeah, you can see Toro there ahead, just up onto the podium. But yeah, now I'll run through your leading order. Toro is P1, really good race. You led from start near enough to finish, P1, so that's really good. But followed by Nilo in P2, Manuel P3, that runs your podium winners. So now we've got Remus in P4, Serban in P5, Verzi in P6, Derry Sachs in P7, Pierre in P8, Nedso in P9, a good race from him, Darius P10, Murphy in P11, Hers on P12, Mikio P13, and your two DNFs is GPP and Rashid. So that is your race for here today around China, but it's a really interesting one. But please don't go anywhere because, as I have mentioned before, it is time for the interviews.
I agree. We do have so here your race winner, but we are still waiting for the two others. So let's see if they will join. Because we're still waiting for Nilu and Emmanuel. So let's see if they will join. Okay, well done, Tara, for the race win. That is an impressive race. You managed to get the Bjorn strategy correctly. You managed to do a one-stop to perfection. And the question is, was you thinking that that you pitting right was the perfect time? And I want to know it towards the end. Also, was your tires really that bad?
I mean, to be honest, I don't know if that was perfect time with the pitting at like with for the Inters. I think if I would pit one lap earlier than I did, I think that would be better. I'm not sure though. But yeah, I mean, I had like 80% tire at the end, so yeah, I think better if I boxed at the same lap as I did. Um, well, I was thinking about doing a two-stop, but it wasn't worth it because if I would do that, I would be at risk by getting undercut by the Williams and by my teammates. So yeah, I had to risk it, and well, uh, I was P1 with the 4 second lead, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a very incredible win. But was there any moment for the intermediates and the final couple of hours? Were you scared that you might be able to get a puncture as well?
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, I was really like driving slowly to not get a puncture, so not really.
Right. Thank you. That is your race winner. And now we move on to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, impressive race to recover it to P3. That is really impressive. But I want to know, if you pitted maybe much later, would you think that possibly you might be able to fight for maybe P2?
I don't think so. I couldn't make the tie last towards the end. I had to pit. It was impossible for me to do the one stop on the inters. So if I pitted one lap or two lap later, wouldn't be made much of a difference for me.
Also, I want to know with your qualifier. I want to know, like, you went really fast, but like, I wanted to know, did you think that maybe the gap from between you and the Red Bulls?
In the
Did you think
qualifying, the gap,
wait, what
can you
did you
say it
say?
again?
Oh yeah, I was talking about like you qualifying. Like, did you think that you were able to? Do you think that you were qualifying where you were, especially like how fast both Toro and Neely were?
Yeah, I saw the gap that was pretty big. I wasn't expecting to fight with them, but I knew my race pace was much better, and the rain, anything can happen there. I did my best. I wasn't expecting to fight with them, but after a few laps, I saw they couldn't drop me, so I tried my best. Unfortunately, I disconnected, which cost me P1, but it is what it is.
It is, and it was sad to see because obviously no one wants to see a driver disconnect. But I think we were really fast in the rain, and I think you were really interesting to watch. And you had a couple of times that you were gaining on both of them, and it was interesting to watch to see if you could get the move done on the pair of the Red Bulls. But yeah, it was unlucky. But I want to congratulate you on your podium finish.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was your podium today. That was between Emmanuel and your race winner, Fazaro. So that is it for round 2 for China. I'm not too sure who will be your commentator for next week. It could be Will, Yoshi, or Nedzo, or even me. But please stay tuned for next week. Please turn on the notification buttons to not miss out, and please subscribe as well. So please make sure I'd have a very fantastic day from me, YB, and please, wherever you are in the world, have a good one. Thank you.